Hello everyone and welcome. Today we are going to talk about the cloud, big data and AWS. So we are going to explain exactly how the cloud handles data using simple everyday examples that you deal with in your normal life. So by the end of this talk, you will know exactly what these powerful tools do and why they are so important. So let's directly jump in. So first of all, to understand data engineering, let's start with a problem we have all faced, a messy desk. So guys, let's imagine you run a busy shop and every single day customers buy things, write reviews and leave feedback, right? In the digital world, this creates a mountain of raw data. It's like having thousands of receipts, sticky notes and random newspapers thrown onto your desk every hour. So if you just leave them in a giant disorganized pile, you can't find anything. So suppose if you want to know how much money did we make last Monday, you would have to dig through the mess of hours. So, in order to solve that problem, data engineering is simply hiring someone to walk up to that messy desk, clean up the papers, organize them into neat folders, and put them where they belong. So, you can actually find answers in seconds, right? So, now the issue is where do we put it? Where do we put all those messy stuff? So, in computers, we have two main choices. First, we have block storage, or we can say it's storage locker. Second is like object storage, which is like a infinite warehouse storage. So block storage is like this is like renting a physical storage locker. uh, it's great, it's secure, and it's very fast, but there's a catch. It has a solid roof and walls, so once you fill it to the top with boxes, you run out of space. So after that you either have to throw things away or go pay for a brand new locker. So this is like your phone's internal storage. When it is full, you are stuck. On the other hand, we have object storage. Imagine a giant, magical, infinite warehouse that grows on its own. So every time you bring a new box of files, the warehouse instantly stretches to make room for it. So you never have to worry about running out of space, and it's incredibly cheap as well. So in AWS, we use that magical infinite warehouse. Okay, now let's talk about AWS S3. So this magical warehouse we have discussed in the previous slide, that is called AWS S3, which stands for Simple Storage Service. So think of S3 as a giant bottomless bucket. You can toss in photos, you can toss in text logs, videos, or spreadsheet. S3 don't care how big they are or how many you throw into it, because S3 is virtually indestructible. AWS builds S3 so that your files are copied across multiple locations automatically. So statistically, if you put a file in S3, you would have to wait 10 million years to lose even one of them. So S3 is like it is accessible from anywhere on the web, and you can store any volume of data at any time. So in summary, we can say Amazon S3 is a AWS cloud storage service used to securely store and retrieve any amount of data from anywhere over the internet. And S3 can store any type of file, whether CSV, JSON, images, videos, logs, or backup. And it stores a massive amount of data, and it is highly durable, cost effective, and it also integrates with other AWS services like Spark, Glue, Athena, and EMR. We'll cover all the services in the later slide. So this is the AWS S3 for you. Let's move into the next slide. Okay, now let's talk about the next AWS service, which is IAM. And IAM stands for Identity and Access Management. So it is the security service in AWS that controls who can access AWS resources and what actions they can perform. So think of IAM as a security bouncer at the entrance of your building. So the bouncer first checks your identity, right? and then decides which area you are allowed to enter. So in AWS, IAM works exactly the same way. So here users are the real people like you or your teammates who log into AWS using a username and password. Roles are like the temporary permissions assigned to AWS services or applications. Like for example, an EC2 instance or an AWS Glue job can use a role to access an S3 bucket without storing passwords. So that is the roles. Rules is like policies. So policies are the rules that define what actions are allowed or denied. So for example, a policy can allow a user to read files from an S3 bucket but prevent them from deleting those files from S3 bucket, right? So now let's understand why do we need IAM. So like without IAM, everyone would have full access to all AWS resources, which is a major security risk, right? IAM helps us provide only the permissions that are actually required, making our AWS environment secure. So, in a summary, if I say, or in a simple words, IAM is a security layer of AWS. It manages user roles and policies to ensure the right people and services have the right level of access to AWS resources. So that is the IAM services in AWS. Okay, now cover the next AWS service, which is AWS Glue. So before going into the actual definition, so let's imagine you are cooking a meal. So before cooking, you need to wash the vegetables, right? You need to cut them and prepare all the ingredients. So similarly in data engineering, the raw data we receive is often messy, incomplete, or in different formats. So this AWS Glue acts like the chef. It cleans, transforms, and prepares the data so that it is ready for analysis or reporting. So what does actually AWS do? So first it reads data from different sources like Amazon S3 databases or APIs. Then it cleans the data by removing bad records, fixing missing values, and converting data into the required format. After that, it transforms the data according to business requirement. And finally, it loads the processed data into another location, such as an S3 bucket or a data warehouse, where tools like Athena, Redshift, or Power BI can use it. Okay, so in simple word, if I say AWS Glue is a serverless ETL service, and ETL basically stands for extract, transform, and load. Extract is read data from the source. Transform is like clean and modify the data. Load is like store the processed data at the destination. So that is the AWS Glue functionality in AWS. Okay. Okay. Now let's talk about the Lambda. So Lambda in AWS is a serverless compute service that runs your code only when an event or trigger occurs. So it doesn't run continuously. It wakes up only when something happens. And what is a trigger? Trigger is an event that starts the Lambda function. So for example, if a new file is uploaded into an S3 bucket or a user logged in or an API request is received, in all those scenarios, we can configure a Lambda which will trigger. Okay. So imagine like the lights in your room have a motion sensor. So the lights remain off when no one is in the room, but the moment someone enters, they automatically turn on. And after you leave, they turn off again. So AWS Lambda works in exactly the same way. So as soon as the trigger happens, Lambda automatically executes the code. So for example, if a CSV file is uploaded to S3 bucket, Lambda can validate it, clean it, or send a notification. And in terms of cost, the biggest advantage is cost saving. Since Lambda runs only when needed, you pay only for the execution time, not for keeping a server running. So in a brief case, AWS Lambda is a serverless compute service that automatically runs code in response to an event without requiring you to manage server, and you pay only for the execution time, right? So that's the AWS Lambda for you. Okay, now let's talk about the next service, which is Athena. So let's imagine you have a millions of files stored in Amazon S3 bucket. So finding specific information manually would take a lot of time, right? So there Amazon Athena acts like a magic search engine for you. So instead of opening files one by one, you simply write an SQL query and Athena instantly finds that required data for you. So that is the functionality of Amazon Athena. And Athena actually directly queries the data stored in Amazon S3. That is the best part. And in terms of cost, Athena is also cost effective because you don't pay for servers. You only pay for the amount of data Athena scans while running your query. So if your query scans less data, your cost is also lower. So let's take a real world example. Suppose a company stores 5 TB of sales data in S3 and your manager asks, what were the sales in June? So instead of downloading all 5 TB of data, we simply run an SQL query in Athena and within seconds it gives us only the June sale. So that is the magic search which is available in AWS, which is AWS Athena. So Athena doesn't store the data always remains in S3. Athena only reads the metadata from the Glue data catalog and queries the files stored in S3. And it is a serverless query service that allow us to run SQL query directly on data stored in Amazon S3 without managing any servers. So we don't need to manage any servers. We can just query data and directly fetch the relevant information we need from that specific data. Okay. Now let's talk about the Redshift. This is one of the important AWS services we use. It is a data warehouse. So Redshift is a AWS data warehouse designed to store and analyze massive amount of structured data. So companies load years of business data into Redshift and it can answer complex SQL queries in just a few seconds. So imagine a library that contains millions of books. If someone asks for one specific page, searching would manually take a long time, right? So now imagine there's a super fast robot in the library that can find any page within seconds. That's exactly what Amazon Redshift does. But now you might be wondering if Athena can also run SQL queries, why do we need Redshift? Okay, so Athena is best when the data is stored in S3 and you want to query it directly without loading it anywhere. On the other hand, Redshift is used when data is loaded into a dedicated data warehouse for high performance, frequent reporting, dashboards, and business intelligence. So that's the basic difference. So let's take a real world example here as well. Imagine Amazon stores 10 years of sales data, and every day management wants reports like monthly sales, top selling products, regional performance, and customer trends. So instead of scanning raw files every time, all this data is stored in Redshift, making reports will be much faster in that case, right? So in a simple term, Athena is like searching for a file in a warehouse whenever you need it, while Redshift is like keeping all important books neatly organized in a fast digital library for instant access. So just to easy to remember, okay, S3 is stores the data, Glue cleans and transforms the data, Athena queries data directly from S3, and Redshift is stores processed data in a data warehouse for very fast analytics and dashboard requirement. So these are the basic four terms which we have covered till now. Okay, now let's talk about the next service which is EMR. So imagine you have to paint an entire stadium and if only one person does the job, it may take several weeks, right? But if 100 people work together, the same job can be completed much faster. So Amazon EMR works on the same principle, working together. And EMR stands for Elastic Map Reduce. It is a managed cluster of multiple computers that work together to process huge amount of data. So instead of one machine doing all the work, EMR splits the work into smaller tasks and distributes them across many machines. So each machine processes its parts simultaneously and then all the results are combined. So why do we need EMR? So when companies have terabytes or petabytes of data, a single computer is too slow. So EMR helps process this massive data much faster by using multiple machines in parallel. So as a real world example, suppose Netflix wants to analyze billions of user watch records. A single computer might take days to process this data, right? So with EMR, hundreds of computers process different part of the data at the same time, reducing the processing time from days to hour or even minutes. So that's the Amazon EMR actually. And EMR commonly runs big data framework like Amazon Spark, Hadoop, Hive, and HBase. And in data engineering, Spark is the most commonly used framework on EMR. So, in nutshell, we can say EMR is like hiring 100 workers to finish a huge job together instead of asking one person to do everything alone. So that is EMR actually. So now as we have covered most of these AWS services which are important, let's see how it all flows together. So let's connect everything together, okay? So first of all, ordered placed. So imagine a customer places an order on an e-commerce website. The order details or receipts are first stored in an Amazon S3 bucket because S3 is our data storage service. Okay, that is the first step. Second trigger, which is Lambda. As soon as file reaches S3, it automatically trigger an AWS Lambda function. So Lambda wakes up only when a new file arrives. So we don't need to keep a server running all the time. That is a trigger movement. Then the cooking, where glue works. So Lambda now starts an AWS Glue job. Glue acts like a chef. It cleans the raw data, removes error, transforms it into the required format, and prepares it for analytics. Then comes search, Athena part. Now the clean data is available in S3. If a business user wants to know something like what were the June sale, they can simply run an SQL query in Athena. So Athena directly reads the data from S3 and returns the result within seconds. Now the growth, which is a Redshift part. Finally, the processed data is loaded into Amazon Redshift. Redshift stores a large amount of historical business data and is used to build dashboards, reports, and identity business trends. So the complete flow is very simple. S3 stores the raw data, Lambda automatically detects the new data, Glue cleans and transforms it, Athena lets us query the data in S3 using SQL, Redshift stores processed data for high performance analytics and reporting. So that is the overall flow. Okay, I think we have covered the basic AWS services used in data engineering in a very simple way here. As we started with S3, then IAM for security, Glue for data processing, Lambda for automation, then Athena for query data, Redshift for analytics, and then EMR for processing large scale data. So I hope this session helped you understand not just what these services are, but also how they work together in a real world data engineering pipeline. So just remember, cloud data engineering is not difficult once you understand the purpose of each services. So thank you so much for your time and attention. Now I would be happy to answer any questions you may have. You can drop down in comment box. Okay, so see you in the next video. Till then, take care. Bye bye.